Good evening, Dota fans. That's right, you're back here for another excellent night of AEL Uni League Finals action with myself, the Wandering Bard, and my wonderful co-caster, Aries. Tonight, we're almost out of AEL Dota, Aries. It's a bit heartbreaking, but we at least get a match to tide us over UOW and QUT. Are you looking forward to it?
I am indeed. I mean, following these plays through the seasons of AEL, and we get to see again if Elite and Co are able to make it into the grand finals, and if UOW they can kind of first enter into their finals here. It's going to be a tough opponent. Now, these teams have played each other, and in fact they played each other in round one of the upper bracket, where we saw UOW Esports 2-0 Refguee. So there is a lot of history already. The fact that they've shown some prowess at being able to take this team head to head and take that series 2-0. So Refguee coming into it are looking for a little bit of revenge to try and cement their position in the grand finals. And also for UOW, they're looking to try and get a little bit of revenge as well against UQ Ultra Chats, who knocked them down in the upper bracket finals.
Yeah, it's an intriguing dynamic, as you mentioned. It's sort of UOW, they maybe see their rivals as being the Ultra Chads, but QUT, they've been doing this finals bracket one step at a time, as you said, knocked down in the first round, and we've watched them overcome challenge after challenge here in the lower bracket, including several opponents who'd previously bested them either in the group stage or, as you mentioned, in the finals. This would just be one more step on their road back to success and to, of course, that deadly finals matchup with the Ultra Chads, but we can't get ahead of ourselves. Tonight's best of three is at least as important as the grand final is going to be, obviously setting all of that up. And now we're into the draft. It is going to be a replay cast again. I'll just mention ahead of time, but we are not spoiled on the results, and so all of the suspense and spills and thrills are real in life, if you believe them to be. So we get into the draft. And Natural, look at this. Natural for 1-2 ban AA, and then UOW, they just click the Morphling ban anyway, not letting that hero through the pool, even tempted by the possibility of grabbing it up for their mid lane or their carry. It's been so potent at the major and in general in this patch that just no one wants to see it around.
Yeah, how you been enjoying the major so far as well? You been watching many of the games?
Absolutely, yeah, as many as I can possibly get. One of the great benefits of being a Dota caster is you can stay up all night and watch the major and call it research. But it's been intense, that's for sure. The meta is seemingly shifting and evolving every day there, and I'm almost glad that this is a replay cast from a few days ago, so we don't necessarily have to try and account for all of that. But it's funny to see how many of the picks that we've seen in the AEL Uni League, starting to show up on the major, not necessarily as old rote things. Stuff like the Axe Shard carry has been deployed quite a few times.
Yeah, I think the Axe carry, I didn't actually get to watch that game. That was LGD that played it, right? I think I saw
LGD played it, and then several teams picked it after, immediately after the.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was something that I saw really come into Dota a while ago when EG won TI5. I know Fee played it a little bit, and it's definitely interesting now. It's a lot better because of the Shard and the Mantle. They did nerf it though. The Shard got a really big nerf. It was like 50% extra chance on your counter helix, and now it's down to 10%. So they really did nerf it a lot. But the fact that teams are still able to recognize that, could be a pretty decent build.
It's I think it even has been nerfed down to 5% now. But the point that I think we're sort of discovering it's one of those things where now that people are onto it, you almost can't take away enough of those bonuses. Ice always puts a few extra sweeteners onto something weird like Carry Axe to try and get teams to try it, and now it's exactly as we saw when it was picked up in the AEL. The ability to push out the map is proving to be paramount, and few things do that better than Manta Axe, but Tidehunter, certainly a candidate for that, especially if you go, carry Tide, also a thing, thanks to his shard, right? The Anchor Smash scaling has proved powerful in the past, and Ravage is a bit of a trickier cooldown to play around than Berserker's Call, but, if you want to go down that route, you can do a similar thing.
You can. There are teams that do try with the Tidehunter as a call. We see occasionally like Matumba Man will play. Even some people in the mid lane don't mind picking up. My one interesting thought about the Tidehunter getting picked up is that you're into a Wyvern, and I feel like Tide really enables a lot of physical damage. That Gush is going to reduce your armor. the Anchor Smash is physical damage, and the Ravage as well is a big AoE team fight ability, where I feel like Wyvern is a very, very solid counter initiation hero to a lot of the team fight. We've seen, Mag, speaking about the major, Mag's kind of had a resurgence, and Wyvern really takes care of that RP. As soon as you drop the Magnus ultimate, Wyvern counterattacks with the RP, protects the persons that are stuck inside. It's kind of similar to the Tidehunter ulti. It's definitely a bigger AoE, so you've got to be a little bit more on point. But I think just the damage that the Tide's going to dish out and the ultimate might be nullified just a little bit by the Wyvern. But already, you see Refguee going into a little bit more magical damage as well here with the Lina. It's going to give them some flexibility. Elite can play it in the mid lane. They can give it to the position 4 if they want to as well. Some more flexibility they have compared to UOW. I feel like we're guaranteed to see like a Tidehunter 3 and the ET or as a 5.
Yeah, that certainly does seem most likely. You make a great case for it as well, especially with the, the Elder Titan. You mentioned the minus armor of Tide. It really is a physical damage minus armor meta right now. It just seems like that's going to scale better to keep up with the, the multiple strength cores that a lot of teams are picking up. Although, when you look over to the other side, something like Wyvern that provides scaling, percent health damage, and anti-physical tools, as well as counter initiation, seems like the perfect pick. Explains a lot of her rise to prominence. Lina, on the other hand, pretty reliable, pretty consistent, just kind of glue hero. Lina and Lion seem to be what a lot of teams use to hold this early phase of the draft together, especially when they can't get Nyx Assassin. But Nyx Assassin is in the pool, and that has been, by far the most highly picked support. So I'm interested to see Refugees and UOW both willing to leave it into the middle and latter stages of the draft areas.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with the Nyx as well. I think it's got a very high pick rate at the major. I think 18 times in total so far. So it's definitely top 10 of the heroes. And I think overall that it's able to provide you, it's going to be pretty solid versus... I think UAW, if they're going to think about... they might lack damage if they go for that, though. Nyx can be pretty nice, but... if you don't have any follow-up with the Vendetta, then you could be a bit worried. I think they actually look for a range 4 that can help nuke out lanes and play with the Tidehunter, because I can't really see Refugee going for it, because the Nyx, the opener from UAW don't really have any intel heroes that like to spam out abilities that you can punish, so they actually go Hoodwink, so they do go for a bit of a range support.
That'll push out the waves.
That will push out the waves. I'm a fan of the Hoodwink, though. I guess Cold Embrace is not going to give you any protection or kind of actually set up for Hoodwink Sharpshooter. It's also kind of one of the few breaks that are left in the pool. Not that I really thought Refugee were going to pick it up to deal with the Tide. So this is them probably looking to... See, there's been some umming and ahhing about the Hoodwink at the major. I know Secret have played it a decent amount. Rest in peace, because they're not there anymore. But for Puppy on the 5, I know we haven't seen Quincy Crew just yet, but I know MSS really likes to play the Hoodwink as a 4. So there's been some debate on what position Hoodwink really thrives in. So I'm really intrigued to see actually how they want to play it on UOW. But they get a comfort hero here. It's a Jug getting picked up, something you can lane pretty well into the Tide to. The Wyvern Jug lane, it's definitely level dependent. Wyvern has a big spike at level 2 just with those extra abilities, so maybe they can burn down the Tidehunter, and it's definitely going to be difficult to deal with him here.
Yeah, and for as much as we talked about the physical damage up the minus armor of UOW's first couple of picks, by adding the Hoodwink now, they do have 3 of 3 heroes that are pretty nullified by magic immunity. So, of course, Juggernaut, always a natural pick in that situation. Lifestealer in particular, having been banned out by UOW. I agree the Hoodwink pick seems not the most obvious here. Usually when we have seen it picked at the major, or in this patch at all, it's been in response to a hero you want to break, not so much the preemptive pickup. And it does sort of seem like the hero that wants more setup, right? You've got the Ravage, sure, but now you've got ET and Hoodwink on the side of heroes that kind of have tricky to land spell combos, would rather someone else have a long stun. And by adding an Ursa, UOW certainly picked up one of the premier carries of the patch and a very strong answer to Juggernaut, but not another stun yet. And so now I'm half expecting there to be a mid-Dragon Knight or something else that can provide a lot of extra lockdown just on a lower cooldown, so that these heroes like Hoodwink and ET can line up Stomp and Bushwhack to chain the disables together.
Yeah, I don't mind the DK because the reason you're saying for the stun. I'd be a bit worried though that they wouldn't have any burst damage. I think that's something you're really requiring here for your position 2. So hopefully that gets sorted out. My camera's probably too. What's going on?
Yeah, do what you need to do. If you need to recall the group and we'll fix it up. But yeah, in the meantime, you make a good point. I think Ursa provides some burst damage, and like Elder Titan kind of turns all your damage into burst damage. But the question's moot because Refguee Esports, they preempt that pick. They come in with the DK pick of their own. So that is interesting. Their lineup, obviously, much more burst damage besides that. So I guess a better fit overall for them.
This... How do I feel about this? Because it doesn't really feel like it fit Elite's hero pool. I see Elite play a lot more of the flashy position 2s and haven't really seen him on like a stock standard Dragon Knight, which he's playing it into a break, but we've already said that it doesn't seem like the greatest setup for the Hoodwing Sharpshooter. It does give you very early tower push, and nice setup for the Lena stun, which is always nice with a point target. But Jug doesn't really want to be in the middle of the fight. So DK can provide that. Then you can have a counter factor with the Wyvern save and Jug coming through. I don't hate it. I just really want to see how they're able to play with it. I think you need some early objectives with this Dragon Knight getting picked up. And you probably need a... Their offlaner is my one issue because I don't think you can put the Dragon Knight there. And there's not many heroes that I think are able to have a comfortable time versus the Ursa. Now, this hero has gotten a lot weaker in the lane. I must add that. You know, over time, the Earthshock and the Fury Swipes have definitely been nerfed pretty heavily. But I still really like ranged heroes versus the Ursa in the lane. And the fact that they're going to have a double ranged is not something you want too often in the lane. It's really, really common that you see a melee range pairing.
Yeah, UOW, though, they banned out the offlane Viper pickup. Obviously, one of the few heroes
That's
you mentioned that can stand against the... and they banned the Puck as well. So whether or not they're thinking refugees are offlaning that DK or they were looking for a non-standard offlane, they'd be able to play into the Ursa. They're just taking out those heroes that would offer bad matchups. And I like their lineup overall. I feel like when I look at the Hoodwink and the ET and the Ursa even... you know, they're heroes that they can be aggressive and they can go for kills, but overall they're happy farming the map. They're all quite good at using the available map space. I can see all of these heroes kind of able to coexist and scale up their net worth, and that's important when you pick a Tide Hunter, because I feel like the most common downfall of these Tide teams is that they lock themselves into an early timing to try and force around the Ravage, and you make it too easy for your opponents to make the game just about dodging those bad Ravage fights, leaving you with nothing to do. So if you're at least able to soak up any space given to you as your opponents, you know, respect the Tide Hunter, that's going to put you in a better position. Refugees, they've got a similar route. Their draft also seems pretty flexible in terms of when they're going to play for, so I imagine we're just going to see both teams adapt based on how the lanes go and sort of adopt an aggressive or defensive position based on that.
Yeah, I think an Ursa lineup is a lot more fast-paced orientated now because of the nerfs, and this hero doesn't go... He's got a really big power spike on Roshans. Like, it really feels like you have to get a really early first Roshan into second Roshan, and with that Aegis Aghanim shot, that's when you really look to end the game. Otherwise, you're going to have other carries right now that are going to scale, and Juggernaut is definitely one of them. So... And it's also, you take a look at how Jug's going to be buffed up. You got Bloodlust. I guess if you want to keep in mind about the Cold Embrace, which is going to be pretty nice because we've already highlighted UOW don't have bursts, and that's exactly what they need in this last pick. You need magical damage. I don't know where they're going to get it, but it's going to have to be someone that is able to dish out that damage. And the Invoker is slow, and I really hope it's not... It is a calm Invoker though, and he has looked very good on the Invoker when we've seen him, but this has to be a Coswex Invoker, because they also, like, this last pick they needed so much. They needed a Playmaker, they needed a Tempo Controller, you needed damage though, which was a big issue, and kind of wave clear. So going for the Invoker, you can't really go Exort which is too slow. And then Cost Wex means you can't really scale into the late game, and your damage isn't going to be as high unless you kind of have a really good time, snowballing the side lanes. So this is honestly...
Well, just based on what you said, though, isn't Cost Wex what they want here, then? If they're going around an early Ursa timing where they just want to make sure that they can force fights and secure the first couple of Aegises, then the early timing on the Cost Wex Invoker is going to line up with that. And considering you're up against not only DK, but also Juggernaut and Wyvern, going the Cost Wex build, which is one of the most classic Spirit Vessel builders in the game, that's also going to line up pretty well with what your needs are.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just worried that I don't think you have a lot of kill potential in your side lanes unless you get unless Invoker has a pretty good lane. And he's against Elite's Lina too. So that's not the easiest time. Elite's going to be able to last it relatively easily and can also mirror the movements on the Invoker. And you've got that burst potential. And I was just hoping it'd be a little bit more... It's definitely a comfort hero for UOW. That's why I think they've gone for it. You're right. Spirit Vessel's great. It is someone who can definitely play the map early, but can he do it at the level they're looking for this game? I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a hero that puts a lot of pressure on the side lanes because it can't get active early on, and yet, these are lanes that QUT have picked up that look, nearly impregnable. Very, very powerful lanes, all three of them. Speaking of power, we've got some powerful, powerful sponsors repping some awesome hardware, in particular Rig Gaming. They're the headset partner for the Uni League this season. Great to have them aboard, and of course, AOC with their monitors have been our partner for some time now. Both of them getting involved with that overall promotion that we've mentioned a couple of times on the stream. We'll get to that later on. But having given those props to our sponsors who let this tournament available, let's give some props to the players in this game. We're going to have Elite rocking the mid lane on the Lina, being the captain and leader from the front of this team. As you mentioned, Dragon Knight, not his style, needs to be dynamic, needs to be the playmaker and shot caller of this team when they're at their most powerful. So we'll see him take that role today. Tao here on the Juggernaut, going to be carrying it out with the Golden Sword, and of course this is Griefer. Griefer showing some love for the casting team today. Over here on the, I presume, offlane support, Ogre Mage. This team do swap around a little bit. Ancient Slayer on the DK and Kimbap on the Wyvern. They're grouping up the top rune, but QUT, they are not interested in any sort of skirmish. We've got Gubala chopping down all the trees in the jungle, going to help his stacker get that ready for the carry Ursa to farm up. Billy the Silly on the Tide. We've got Davai Lama on the Elder Titan. That's going to be one to watch. And there's, level 1 Exort on the Invoker on Calm. So don't know if that's going to change in the near future. But for now, at least, we are looking at an Exort Invoker. Are going to have some kill potential on the side lanes as a result of that.
Yeah. Another thing to mention is that they've also swapped up their roles here on Dire. Mark has been playing the position 3 pretty recently, but they're going to put Billy there on the Tide, so maybe this is just... Mark has predominantly played support through his career so far in Dota, through OETL when he's got the opportunity, and through some other leagues as well, so he definitely is comfortable there. But the main thing, like you said as well, is that we're going to be seeing the Invoker on the Exort, so this is going to be intriguing. My one worry now is that, how do you set up for Sunstrike? And you don't really have... Hoodwink definitely can with Pushback. It's going to be a long enough stun, but this is not a hero that's able to kind of find these solo pickoffs like maybe a Lion can, or a Clockwork on a really squishy support. So they don't have the greatest setup for for Sunstrike pickoffs, and that's really where a Exort Invoker will thrive, because you want to play really slow. You want to get that Midas, and just play the lane, shove the lane out, go back to the jungle. You don't want to be taking fights only with your Sunstrike.
He's in huge trouble. Both offlaners taking a ton of early harass here, but the Winter's Breath, the Arctic Burn expires just in time. But yeah, oh my goodness, so much action on this map early on, but it's Elite who draws the first blood. That Lina attack range reaches all the way across the room, and the damage from that Forge Spirit, not enough to help. And wow, that's massive in terms of how much of an impact it has. We were just talking about how the Invoker Sunstrike's critical to trying to give any kill potential to these side lanes. It was going to start to be a problem for the Dragon Knight, for instance, in the top lane, but now they're back in charge of that lane and starting to bully Gubala's Ursa up into these trees here. So, huge implications around the map as we see these early lane skirmishes take off.
Yeah, surprising seeing Gabala's actually getting pushed back. He's falling pretty low here.
He seems to be playing possum, and now that his support's back in lane, I mean, Divine Llama, this is a huge outcome. It looks like Gabala fell back, you know, sort of before his support was ready, and this is only a level 1 Elder Titan, so no natural order skilled up yet. There's no real reason to be face tanking, you know, this dual tanky melee off lane. As we see Billy the Silly in trouble again, potentially Tao has the level 2 Blade Fury going for the spin. He's slowed down by the Wyvern as well, kind of just commits to his death, or at least to the trade, and Mark chipping away on the snap, on this Hoodwink here, manages to find a kill. And, I mean, that's not so bad, because I feel like if you have a player who's normally a 3-pos on your support, Hoodwink is one of those supports who almost every time we see it picked in high competitive Dota, sucks up a lot of farm, kind of ends up scaling well above what you'd expect from a 4 or 5 position. So maybe the intent is for Mark to still take farm priority from this role.
Yeah, the only issue is the Tidehunter is not a hero that really does well without too much farm. Like, you see sometimes teams like Liquid, when Boxy was still playing, you'd swap up, you know, the Sand King Mirana. Sand King would kind of take more of a core role as a position 4, or sorry, as a 3. So, but the Tide just doesn't really do that. I feel like it's someone who you can't kind of take a backseat over.
Yeah, that's true, and especially when Billy's having a rough start, it looks like, just trying to get to his basic items, Soul Ring and Phase Boots. The understanding is sound, right? You want physical damage against the Juggernaut. In theory, if you're lucky, you can even start standing in the spin and threatening him with auto attacks in that space. But, as we actually see, Gabala finds a kill up top, might even be 2. Divine Llama actually, no, will avoid the trade, hiding in the trees, and, I mean, Griefer on this Ogre hasn't really been able to do a lot. It's kind of a mismatch. Ogre doesn't have the damage, especially burst, that the Ursa would. As we see, actually, Mark gets a kill down the bottom. Action all over the map right now, and we're just trying to catch up, and Divine Llama does go down as soon as we cut away from top lane. So T2 is there. So kills are essentially just going a mile a minute at the minute, actually. Gabala manages to exchange for the Ogre, so this trading is still going on, and Ancient Slayer would love to even things up by finishing off the Ursa, but I think this is where the damage finally runs out. DK with the 0-1-2 build is not finding it, but Billy does pick up Kimbap and has to retreat now, lest he be traded back the other way, but, I mean, the Juggernaut doesn't even have the phase boots yet. Surely no way to run down this Tide, even as Billy greedily stays in the lane. That is a flurry of action, and they're still not, they're just chasing each other up and down the side lanes right now, Aries.
Yeah, what a crazy game one we have here in the lower bracket finals. We got 8 kills already, about to be 5 minutes into this game. You see the side lanes action-packed, but yeah, I'm still also just keeping an eye on mid. It's Elite favored heavily at the moment, 27 to 8.
Mark. There's a Blade Fury here. It seems like... Oh no! Is he fast enough? Actually, the Hoodwink is so speedy. Manages to scurry away, literally. That was a close one, but you can sense that Mark was holding that spell and manages to bait out some good mana usage from the Radiant there. Buy some precious time for Billy. That seems like the only way you can kind of help the Tidehunter. Actually, nothing helping Gabala right now. Divine Llama also doesn't really have any way to bail his carry out, but Gabala trying to do his best, catches a little bit of the Fire Breath on the end there, but there's no further damage. The Ignite ticks out, and so does Griefer, who goes down. Divine Llama now, you know, suddenly feeling powerful on this ET support. Now he's got a couple of levels. He's going to start handbagging up Ancient Slayer, who's just trying to hide in the trees and regenerate a little bit. Everyone is so low in these lanes. Where's the Sunstrike? I know that we don't have a setup available, but we gotta see it coming sometime soon. Calm, if you can't win your own lane, at least you can win the sides. But no, it looks like we're dipping back into a Quaswex spell setup, which, you know, we talked in the draft was appropriate for this match overall, it seems like. But, yeah, unfortunately not going to help secure the kill on something like this low hit point DK.
And I do wonder how many points Invoker is going to put into this. It looks like he's continuing to put some more points in the Exort. Just that early value point in Wex, like you can get so much more range of abilities in your arsenal. So we'll see the impact of Calm, but
Tao getting pressured heavily under tower right now. There's lots of trading still going on in the top lane as well, but this Juggernaut, he's the one who hasn't really suffered so much yet out of these cores. His last hitting obviously hasn't been perfect because it's been so contested. Just naturally you're going to miss a few creeps. But, okay, now we're going to see top lane starting to dive as well. Gabala falling low. Divine Llama trying to attract some attention. They're trying so much to split up, you know, these Radiant aggression right now, and it's working out so far. I mean, without a rotation up from your mid laner, the lack of burst damage, it goes both ways right now. Like, unless you're committing to the fight, as we saw, now that teams are playing a bit more circumspect, neither can really run down the opposing heroes. They're sort of just trying to pull you out of the... Okay, Divine Llama, though, he walks into the teeth of the stuns. if he's trying to draw damage, I mean, that was a heavy price to pay. But Gabala now level 6 on the Ursa can go in, but now here's that mid-rotation we talked about. Great Ursa ultimate to survive long enough to at least finish off the Ogre, but not long enough to self-deny to those neutrals. And in fact, Ancient Slayer is going to pull that into the creep wave and farm everything up. Great little rotation by Elite, only had to come halfway up to the top lane and secures an important kill for his team.
Yeah, very nicely played from Elite. He's already looking really, really strong this game one, and it really feels like from the games we've been seeing Elite, unfortunately, he's not had the greatest lanes, and you know, once he has that rough start, he's unable to really snowball with
Kimba, here's the Sunstrike finally. It's not a lot of damage, but it's enough to counteract the healing from the Cold Embrace, and Divine Llama is still just trucking away, as is Mark. They finally bring down Kimba on that Wyvern, of course, the Juggernaut. You know, they're happier to keep that hero alive, but difficult to see him farming many more creeps at the moment as 3 Dire Heroes, QUT heroes, walk down onto this tier 1 tower. They know what their objective is. They have the minus armor, both for heroes and for towers a little bit with the Blightstone on the Hoodwink. And it looks like their intent to at least draw more teleports down here, if not take this building out.
Yeah, very well played here from UOW. See, Mark, let's get a Tao. No more mana at the moment for the Omni Slash, so he's got some one charges, but might need Elite to go back to base, refill the mana, and then TP down, and looks like he might be thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
you see the play set up because of the fact that he shoved in the creep wave mid means he has no obligations as Wyvern is in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Kimbap came back to the lane, and again, you can imagine that this is tanky ganks for Tau. The Juggernaut remains healthy, continuing to pick up a couple of CS, continuing to defend this tower. So you know, as a support, you're kind of just getting taxed for your tier 1 here, and in many cases that's acceptable. But you know, at top lane, I don't know that we're seeing the same tax be given up, right? Like even with this Dragon form, they still haven't brought down Gubala's tower, and Gubala is not bleeding deaths. His supports are not bleeding deaths. So right now, it seems like QUT, they have the run of this, and Billy, okay, forced to Ravage. We do finally see the Elite rotation. It doesn't secure the kill. Maybe the Ravage cooldown is good enough. It's certainly going to drive QUT off of this tower for now, so maybe this first safe lane tier 1 is going to go the other way. But Divine Llama back in the top lane now. He is finally responding to this aggression out of Ancient Slayer and trying to walk him down, negate much of that DK armor, that tankiness. It's a nice stomp placement. It is going to sleep him. That's going to be a Sunstrike setup, but both heroes, they group together, split the damage, which isn't that much on strength heroes anyway. But you know what is a lot of damage? It's the Ursa. Gubala coming through. Elite actually secures Mark, which is a killing spree pickup. Was trying to rotate to things in the mid lane, it looked like, on the Hoodwink, and just sort of sussed out by a good Radiant Ward. But in the meantime, they do lose their DK off lane, so both teams drawing blood there.
This is now your Scepter as well, completed for Elite. So he's going to be able to continue with these rotations. They definitely need to go top. You were talking about it, that the Elder Dragon form not doing as much damage to the tower, but now with the potential bot lane, Billy might be in trouble.
Oh, Billy, I mean, I was about to comment on how well Billy was doing. Manages to catch up all the way up and farm that Omni Slash that wasn't used before. Oh, it's just enough. Tau hasn't been the fastest here. Oh, actually, the Sunstrike. Oh, it misses, yeah. And the Healing Ward was immediate after that kill. Tau understood the danger. But yeah, Mark is going to come in. No Hoodwink ultimate yet, though. Just a couple of experience points off. So all of the long-range sniping abilities failed them this time for QUT. But that is something we'll have to keep track of for later on. Mark, in fact, bold as Brass goes all the way in deep to pick up that healing ward, try and limit the hit point recovery, I guess, for the Juggernaut there, and does secure that sharpshooter for later on. I can see that being quite important to kill Elite, is actually moving back towards the mid lane. A Tornado into Hoodwink ultimate or into Stomp could be on the cards here. And here we go. The Tornado first. The Stomp, it's a little bit too slow. Elite throughout the LSA and kind of forced Karma to jump the gun on the initiation. So Elite doing a stellar job so far. I don't think you'd ask for much more out of the mid lane here. Really holding it down for his team, wasting those 2 rotations there, and you know, again, taking a bit of the heat off this bottom lane that struggled so much. Now on the Juggernaut, one of the, you know, equal lowest CS with his own offlane DK, really needs some room to catch up.
Yeah, he does. We've seen the pressure that UOW been putting on that bot lane. So honestly, I would like to see Tao leave this lane. He's got no reason to be here. Your Omni Slash is on cooldown, so you really don't offer as much of a kill threat. Just put the DK here. You know, DK doesn't need to play up top, farming that jungle, get in the dead lane, or even the Wyvern and play the dead lane as well with 3 points in the Splinter Blast. So this is just a little bit too much aggressive farming from Tao. I think he'd be able to do just as well in the jungle, and Because you see how they're posturing right now on Die. They know this is their next objective. They've got Ravage. They've got their level 6s. They want to use on tower. They know the Omni Slash is on cooldown. So the fact that he's still here, but not getting punished just yet.
You can see the aggressiveness out of UOW. They desperately want to push up, and they... Oh, hang on, Billy actually going in deep here. Tao goes down. There's the punishment. You talked about it. He shouldn't be here. And eventually, I don't know if they were hoping to bait some more rotations, I think, away from this lane, because they're playing so aggressively everywhere else on QUT. But ultimately, UOW correctly understand there's no need to do that. And while they're waiting for it, they do lose their Juggernaut just to a very nice kill combination out of 2 heroes. And yeah, you can't be having that. That's just not good map play, not good efficient trading. You're gonna have to do better. Maybe they'll be able to do better with Kimbap's ultimate, but there's no backup here. So the Wyvern having to respect the presence of Billy and ET. Now Tao returns to the fight with a vengeance. Does have that ultimate available, the Omni Slash, but there's, again, no additional help at this tower. Kimbap now rotating over. It looks like Lucas actually just commits the curse straight up. That's a nice spot to see the opportunity. They're going to bring down the ET. Okay, Billy belatedly fires off the Ravage, but it's just to retreat, and I don't know, maybe he could have just walked away from that one. Does spend the Ravage cooldown to make sure, which, I respect playing it safe, but that's going to kind of give a green light here with the DK form available to maybe push a tier 2 on the side of the Radiant. Ancient Slayer... Nope, you're gonna just move back into the jungle. Looks like they want to play the economy game here.
Yeah, we saw a very early blink, honestly, picked up for the DK. Just went straight into it, so he's going to be the one to be able to make the plays, set up for the Lina follow-up as well. He will probably have to continue to tank up because he didn't go for a bracer or anything, but they are setting up on Mark. This is still a very difficult hoodwink to be able to bring down without that ease of stun and without the DK in the vicinity, but he's swinging over now, so maybe they're able to catch him out. But you do see across the map meanwhile, I mean, this Midas for Calm has been picked up. Gubala's going for a Diffusal Blade, so recognizing that he's not going to be able to get the opportunity to go for a greedy Battle Fury build, that would just be way too slow, and he kind of needs that faster pace style. Ancient.
Ooh. The 4-person gank on the 4 position isn't what I see too often, and this took a lot of time to set up. They really need to kill Mark, but yeah, with that damage over time, there's no way for Mark to keep scurrying, actually out of charges anyway, so they will eventually bring him down, but I don't feel like Mark is upset at all about that. I mean, in the meantime, his team is getting so much off the map. They're going to finally pick up this bottom tier 1, it looks like, on Billy, and I mean, obviously, you want to transition this into a tower push now, with the DK, with the Juggernaut, but do they have the tools to even take tier 2s right now? Nope. Nope. They're teleporting away. They're going to actually make a fight out of this one. At the bottom, there is no Ravage. Billy spent that previously, so they're going to capitalize on that. Pop their glyph, pop all the TB scrolls. Now they come down to pounce on the Tide Hunter. The rest of his team bailing out, leaving him for dead. Gubala and Divine Lama, they understand that this Tide Hunter wasn't long for this world, but okay, so that's 2 effective movements, I guess. Rotate top with everybody, get 1 kill. Rotate bot with everybody, get 1 kill. I mean, are they meant to be rotating with everybody right now? Is that just, how they need to muster their strength?
I think it was a bit of an overcommitment with their numbers, but they're just showing how aggressive they want to be. The Ursa might be in trouble here.
Oh, they miss him in the night. Gubala's just taking their Ancients. Maybe... Okay, now he's going to walk past the Juggernaut. Now they see him. Now he gets diffuseled. Gubala immediately ults and goes to the TP. But the Ogre's right there. That opportunistic teleport attempt will not work out. And he pays the price. Yeah, I mean, you could question that ultimate, but they don't know how many people are near that Ursa in the fog right now. All the Die heroes are off map. They've done a great job of dewarding their jungle after QUT got in there earlier, and unfortunately the Wyvern had a courier die with a bunch of wards on it. So, without the vision right now, they just want to make sure they immediately secure that Kubala kill, and yeah, caught with his hand in the cookie jar there.
Hit that tower. Go for a DK. Let's get these towers falling. What we want to see on a Dragon Knight. They know that the Invoker is not really in fighting shape at all. We actually went boots to travel for Calm, so
whoa,
he's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, they definitely are concerned about the early timing we talked about in the draft, and maybe it's going to pay off for them anyway. Mark rotating up here, they pick up the DK. That's a nice way to open the fight, and Tao loses the healing ward very quickly there, so without that source of additional sustainability, they have to be on the retreat, but the Hoodwink is pacing them in the trees, the most menacing squirrel you've ever seen, keeping up with that scurry, trying to line up that sharpshooter. The dragon joins him in the foliage. So both teams still want to fight here. It looks like we're bringing up all our reinforcements. You can see elites arriving through the jungle right now. We've got, you know, the Ursa, you know, sort of farming his way towards top lane. And both teams have decided this top tier 2 is the objective. Of course, hugely consequential for those Roshans, which we mentioned are the crux of the Ursa's game, one way or the other.
Yeah, the fact that he hasn't been able to take it this early is a bit worrying.
Smoking
they have got a set up on Jug.
Oh, yeah, actually, huge action in the top lane, and this is just as the rest of UOW moved away, so Mark tries to hide in the trees, knows that there's not really the firepower here to fight right now, but might have to be the sacrifice again. Yeah, can't scurry away fast enough. Sunstrike is not going to connect onto Griefer's Ogre, and this smoke, it wasn't for the Roshan, because of course there's too many Radiant heroes nearby. Gubala is looking for a leap down bottom. Can they pick up this Lina? She's got the heals, sees the teleport from the Invoker, both of them rocking BOTs, but the rest of the team are here for the Invoker, and there's no escaping that nice stop from Divine Llama. Now they line her up, and it will be the end of the dominating streak for Elite. So, you know, we've seen some really kind of huge, multifaceted, orchestrated gank attempts here, but at least they're paying off. At least these teams aren't going home from these massive rotations empty-handed, and maybe, no, okay, looks like we're still going to fight over the top tier 2 as UOW rotate back up to join the DK at the push. Oh, yeah, initiation from Ancient Slayer? Trying to get here before the rest of the Dire do, and in fact, there's still no teleport, so it's just Mark alone, but it's so hard to pin down the Hoodwink in the trees, and now Gabal is here. These heroes might have overcommitted. The Acorn Shot goes out to slow them down and prevent any points from the DK. The Ravage is committed. Kimbap dies immediately, and the break on the DK ensures that he won't last much longer. That is some nice coordination, and this time it is UOW with the 1-2 bottom-top combo, both times picking up important kills, and they have a slight gold lead as a result.
And you see, meanwhile, Calm, he's just pushing out a T2 tower. A little bit of chip damage here. He's got a lot of farm. He's going to back himself up. He's got second component for the Aghanim's top. The aggression continues.
Yeah, and Gubala this time, he's the target. Diffusal makes it so scary to go anywhere near each other for these carries. But it is Gubala who has the support, and Tau realizes he's massively overcommitted, having used that spin already. He's forced to press the Omni Slash button just to survive. There's a Winter's Curse simultaneously, so they waste both ultimates, including the defensive value. And now Kimbap is going to pay for even standing around to watch his carry die. And Griefer manages to slip deeper into the trees and that take it. Whoa! The Hoodwink damage! It's always so hard to predict how hard that's going to hit. It decimates even the mighty Ogre. And yeah, as you mentioned, that looks like an absolutely free... I mean, I guess not a free Aegis. They won it with that fight there. Hard won. But it certainly was all one-way traffic right there.
What a team fight. I'm just reading. They're not clicking spells well enough compared to what UOW are. That's just a simple way to put it. They're just looking like a better team right now with their spell casting. The fact that they're able to get away with their greedy lineup, and you know, Karma's been playing some solid Invoker even without kind of any Sunstrike setups. He's been getting a lot more involved early on, but it's just rating kind of being a little bit sloppy with how they're making these plays across the map, and it's cost them there. Just, you know, setting some, you know, getting picked off a couple times, not, you know, punishing fights when the enemy team doesn't have their ultimates. And well, now they're down in net worth, and they're also down the ages advantage as well, and that's exactly what the Ursa wants. You take a look at the net worth. Elite's looking great, but Tau really hasn't been able to keep up in farm, and it's worrying because it's Diffusal Blade. Like, you want to be fighting. You are, if you wanted to farm, go Maelstrom Battle Fury, but that's not the case, so they're going to have to probably take a fight head on into the ages, and that's also going to be the Cataclysm timing for the Invoker, and that's scary.
I mean, we saw how much pressure the Juggernaut was under in that fight, right? Like, yes, you have the panic buttons, yes, you have the Omni Slash and the spin, but you have to be, like, so careful about using them when there's this much damage, in particular, the Ursa on the other team, right? The spin itself is not always protection. Do you feel like, you know, maybe Tau should have gone more of a farming build rather than challenging the Ursa, who's also gone early Blink Diffusal and wants to fight?
I think the Diffusal's... Do I like it?
It is sort of the patch build for Juggernaut right now, but certainly it's not working out. And now it continues to not work out. He just dies immediately. That Ravage into Gubala, and you saw there the spin. In some games that'll get you out. Today it's nothing. And the Winter's Curse also will not bail out Kimbap because of, again, an on-point Sunstrike Calm contributing from a distance. And Elite, unfortunately, you know, both these mid laners have kind of played this game very similarly, mostly avoiding being with their teams. But unfortunately, the Lina cannot contribute from a distance the same way. They pick up a kill on the Ogre as well, who's trying to get set up. They chase Elite back into the base, and this Lena just finished a BKB on top of the Yules, so with the travels and those items, she's as defensive as she'll ever be. She should be able to come into fights now, but suddenly the team aren't there to fight with her.
Uh-oh, Aghanim's up on the Invoker now.
Oh.
I don't know, you just gotta click, you gotta click your Blade Fury as soon as you see the Tide blink in. Like, you know he's gonna Ravage, you've got time, the tentacles don't come out straight away, there's a little bit of an animation. You know, we've seen Tao have some solid games, but you just gotta be a bit faster on that. That's kind of twice this game where we've seen the Blade Fury being a bit slow reactionary to when they've jumped in, and it's really cost you. You can't have this many deaths on a carry. You see Gobala's only got 2 top lane. DK's in trouble as well.
He might be getting another one here. Ancient Slayer, obviously only the offlane for his team, but someone needs to step up in the vacuum of this Juggernaut. Great use of the Essence Ring, always a clutch item to have, but the Hoodwink damage comes in to negate the extra hit points. Calm, though, still backing off. Understands that DK wouldn't just be trying to turn unless there was some help coming in, and that respect pays off because Elite was already BOTZing up, and they pull Calm's Invoker back out of the way as all 5 QUT heroes arrive in the top lane. But yeah, look, you make a fair point. We don't like to pick on individual players too much, but Tao, he's definitely been having a bit of a shocker on the Juggernaut. Not just the Blade Fury usage, some of the positioning before we saw kind of getting his team in trouble. But there, you know, there's always time, as long as the game's still going to improve, at least gets the Blade Fury off that time, and that's going to allow the rest of his team to pounce on top lane. Mark has no such magic immunity skill to bail him out as he goes down in the teeth of Dragon Knight, Wyvern, and Ogre. They need to back up a little bit, though. Their 1 and 2 position got chased completely out of this top side of the map, managed to avoid the Cataclysm, so, you know, that's 1 bullet dodged, but, you know, there's plenty of damage left over, and great stomp secures the kill on Ancient Slayer. I thought he was actually going to be able to TP out there, but instead it's only the Wyvern who's able to slip away, and maybe not even that. Billy has been so aggressive post-laning phase, has a full Satanic available now. Yeah, I would be taunting too. Finishes off Kimp up under the tower, the big mighty anchor slap. And now this top lane tier 1, I mean, it's lived a longer life than it probably should have this game. Really just a consequence of the dominance that UOW are displaying that they take it down now.
Yeah, just some solid overall performances so far from the boys on UOW. Been really impressed with how they're, you know, shot calling and making these plays. There was a great smoke maneuver. 3 heroes down bot, running up top to the Hoodwink and the Invoker. They linked up, saw that Radiant were out of place, had a very good ward on the high ground as well. And these are just the plays. I don't know who's making the calls on Dire, but whoever is really impressing right now.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are pretty impressive, right? Like, the item decisions are interesting this game, but they do make sense. Calm's navigation of this difficult role in this game as an Invoker has been pretty cool as well. And Elite, you know, trying to do his best with the team. They make a rotation back up top. Now that they see some of those Dire heroes have left, they go straight back in onto the Ursa, not afraid of the Aegis. They take it down. Now the rest of the squad arrives. Billy, though, he's stayed around. He's the chaperone for Gabala this game. Has the Ravage available. Not popping it early this time, though, just holding onto it. And they can't decide who to go for. Now the Ravage is going to stop the rotation up onto the Ursa. Billy just standing his ground, occupying 3 different heroes. It'll be costly if they can get both of them, but for now it looks like this play is working out for UOW. Billy does eventually go down, but it's bought time. Here's Calm, here's the rest of the squad. Mark comes in, not even required to bring down the DK. Now the Cataclysm, they're all stacked up this time. Griefer gets grief this occasion, and okay, the fight's not over though. Defy Llama goes down. Elite BK being through that firestorm, and Calm realizes the invisibility is not protected today, but the Ursa, you know, they're saving each other this game. Comes in, bullying these heroes' Ares. It's brutal right now, and it looks like now it's finally all over, bar some cleanup on this Winter Wyvern. Great teamfight execution overall, and a chaotic exchange from UOW.
And that was just a crazy engagement. You see the Ursa just sticking around for a little bit too long. Radiant looked to punish the positioning Gobala, but man, Tide, it saves the day. You know, just bears as much time as possible, gets that Ursa back to safety. The teammates, the reinforcements, they come on over. And you see Radiant they almost had that fight. They were looking strong, but the turn was there. UOW, again, just looking strong in a lot of these fights, and it's only going to get scarier as well with this net worth lead. I feel like Radiant, you know, with the Lena, Jug can definitely keep up. You've got an Ogre, Wyvern ultimate's pretty good as the game goes on, but you know, it definitely feels like Dire's team fight at the moment is a lot superior, especially with their item advantages. I mean, Mark has almost got the Aghanim, so that goddamn Boomerang's going to be a bit of a nuisance here. What have we got coming out? AT's going Ags next. I don't know why Tide has a Satanic. We're going to skip past that. Ursa's almost got a BKB, and this is also with second Roche going to be up potentially in a minute, and that is real the big timing here from Dire. That's when they can really cement their position.
I mean, both teams understand that. That's why you see QUT, despite the dropping they just took in that team fight, they are straight back up into the jungle here, trying to utilize their BKBs, which are also relatively fresh on the DK and the Lina. And as you mentioned, there's a bit of a timing here where Ursa doesn't have protection, right? Was going without a BKB for a while there because of the Aegis and just the overall strength of the hero. Mark getting bullied by Tau, but, I mean, I say bullied. It's really a very light bit of negging there, because the Scurry just gets it back into the trees so easily on the Hoodwink. Now, okay, a little bit more concerted aggression as Ancient Slayer comes in. They even dust. They really want this Hoodwink. They do have a stun. They do find her in time. Almost slipped away from that one. But again, it's going to take 4 heroes to... Wait, okay. Eventually bring Mark down. For a moment, they're nearly healed up with the one charges last minute. Mark really doing a great job here of just wasting time. Just like Billy before, right? Like the belief in each other from these UOW players, the knowledge of like when to collapse onto a fight even from across the map versus when to just leave someone to, you know, spend their life as dearly as possible has been sort of the biggest difference for me this game. And, you know, it's manifesting itself in a 11,000 net worth lead. As you said, Ursa, his BKB timing and that next Roche seems like it might be, you know, the death knell for QUT in this game one.
Yeah, unfortunately, you really don't want to go down a game here, and your best of 3 decided to maybe make it into the grand finals, but here we go. Roche is going to be up in 5 seconds. Radiant, they do have very good vision around the area, so looks like they're well aware that this is going to be that next big objective to really tell the story of how this game is going to look. But, you know, Dire are already doing exactly what they need to do, keeping bots shoved in, so it's going to force Radiant to come back. I mean, Elite can definitely do the job, but
they're ready to pounce. I mean, actually, they're not quite as ready to pounce as I would have thought. But, oh, that self-fuels is going to, you know, trying to preempt that initiation. Could have cost Elite. There is a bottled haste rune, of course. So, yeah, it seems like the plan is to try and bring a defense back. But yeah, so far... They need to either punish this Lina or at least jump her to force more rotations. Then the Roche pit will be open to them. But now it looks like a tower trade, tier 3 for tier 2 at the top lane as QT just stubbornly refusing to teleport away from the Roche pit. They understand what that would mean. But now the tier 3 is down. Palm re-initiating things on the Lina. Of course, the tornado into tornado. Still working out. Oh, Billy really thought about that Ravage for a second. Pump faked it.
I think he just wanted to pop BKB.
Yeah.
On Elite. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, in the end, neither of them blink, so, you know, just Tidehunter doing a funny dance.
Why are they not coming back?
No, they're giving up the racks here freely as we see, you know, the Shard Anchor Smash take a toll on that building. And, you know, it would be one thing if they got Roche during this time, right? Like, if you're that committed, just go in the pit. And, I mean, Tau's pinging it now, but not now. Like, the rack's bottom is already gone, so you are, in theory, threatening to trade Roshan for an overcommitment at bottom lane, but in the end, you know, they got everything they could have needed on the bottom side for UOW, and QT got nothing out of the top lane other than some creep camps, and I guess the ability to hold this positioning. But Divine Llama just strolls into the pit now, no fear at all. The Radiant, they're up on the high ground. This looks like to be their final stand.
Billy.
Oh, just walks into it, no fear. Ravage Cataclysm. We hadn't seen the combo until now. The BKBs are a bit slow to save them. Elite has to beat it back. And, okay, now does manage to find a good LSA, but they're on the run already at the start of this fight. They're just trying to get some healing up on their Juggernaut with that ward chase so far away from where this fight originally started. In fact, they're teleporting out. They're getting chased all the way back to their base. Elite might not be so able, even with the BOTs, yeah, runs into the waiting claws of the Ursa. So I talked about a final stand. They barely stood. It was a final run, a rout there. As soon as Billy walked up the hill, just completely calling their bluff. And yeah, the Ravage Cataclysm combo is pretty game defining.
Wow. What yeah, exactly, the Ravage Cataclysm combo. What a destructive fight for them. You try to go on the tide. How are you going to be able to bring him down? 2900 health. He's also, you know, got the Kraken Shell, which is the big factor. Getting rid of the stun so it can pop the Ravage. The combo comes through, and when you're in a choke point like that, you're going to get punished. Now you're going up against the Aghanim Shard Ursa, which was the timing I was speaking about. With the ages, this is, what's probability saying? 95%, I'd say it's probably about 98.
Yeah, I was about to say 90, 98, 99 at this point. Hard to see how they come back, right? Like, we talked about, even if you go late game, like, all these heroes are scaling quite well. The Boomerang Aghanim is up on the Hoodwink. Mark's got plenty of room to improve items. Billy, like, you know, went for a satanic, definitely not itemizing around an early game timing. Now has the halberd completed as well, which, you know, they didn't really need it, but a very important item pickup. It's just been a complete show of force here in game one from UOW, for everything from itemization to warding. They have looked like the stronger team, and it's going to be a task for QUT to catch up in game two as Kubala reminds them how big the gap is. 1, 2, 3 hits and 3 heroes with a moderate assist on the Juggernaut there from the sharpshooter of Mark. Did about 90% of his health. Now they're under the tier 4s, not even worrying about megas. You see the Boomerang, the Ravage, they're just doing a spell showcase. What's that old YouTube series, The Symphony of Skills right now? It's a beautiful song that UOW are playing. They will march into game 2 with a massive chunk of momentum here after this game 1 win, Aries.
What a performance. It's just... I wonder what went wrong here for Refguee, because I think Dyer had a very, very greedy lineup that didn't get punished. I think, unfortunately, we didn't see enough movements with the Jug Omni Slash. She stuck around that bottom lane for a little bit too long, like I was saying. Diffuser Blade, you need to fight with that. They weren't really fighting, unfortunately. It was just a bit disconnected early on, so they weren't able to punish the greedy lineup that UOW had. And then it got to the stage where they can just execute fights a lot easier. You chuck out Ravage, you have the Aghanims at an early timing, and it just spelled disaster for Refguee. They couldn't really do anything. They couldn't get pickoffs. It was a very one-dimensional kind of lineup if they played from behind. And, well, UOW just look on another level right now. They've really got Refguee's number, unfortunately for those boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the hero's fault always who has this net worth problem, but they just could not get the Juggernaut online the whole game long, and unfortunately that was meant to be responsible for a lot of their damage. You know, without that threat, we saw Elite sort of in one of those situations where you're farming for a rainy day for when the rest of your team catches up, and the rest of the team never caught up. Instead, the Dyer caught up with him and with QUT in general. But of course, there is a game too. QUT have shown massive fighting spirit throughout this lower bracket, and they will be back to, you know, for the fight of their lives here after this break. said it was a short break. I couldn't afford to take any of a longer one. We are right here in the crux of it at the end of the AEL Uni League Season 1 for 2021. UOW and Refguee Esports fighting for survival, both obviously on the verge of elimination, but Refugees slightly more on the verge areas after that Game 1. That looked rough for them.
Yeah, it did, unfortunately. I think there were bright points to talk about. I think their lanes went pretty well, especially mid. This is a lane that we saw Elite come out ahead of, so potentially heading into the second game, we could see if he gets another favorable matchup where he can make that work, but a couple times he just got picked off. It really cost him, and the whole team as well really cost them. Hopefully heading to this, of course it is a replay, but if the teams had at least Refugee thought a little bit in the break on what they can work on, hopefully it's just really trying to secure Towers farm. Let's see if they can have a nice carry matchup for him and a nice safe lane where he's able to kind of have that free farm, because that's kind of what was struggling this game, and it looked like he felt kind of out of place.
Yeah, I mean, any Dota game is like a very complex recipe to come together, and it's not always as simple as just looking at the end result and picking apart things that look bad as the cause. But it did seem a lot like, they had Alina, who had all the space on Earth, all the farm she would need, top net worth by a lot for the whole game, essentially, and nearly zero game impact, which seemed to be barely on Elite. They just didn't bring the hero into play, which, is because of other heroes missing their timings. Whereas, like you said, the Juggernaut Tower just couldn't get the engine started. So maybe whether it's changing up the style of heroes you pick for those players, changing up how you lane them, even doing something, if it's your final game for elimination, try something like an aggressive tri-lane or whatever if you think it might give you a better chance against UOW. They are now 0-3 in this matchup over the course of the AEL Finals series. But whatever it is, Refugees do need to change something up drastically now.
They do, and let's see what they start with. So back into the Grimstroke. It's always something that Elite has liked to draft with his lineups through the seasons. It's quite the dominant. It is very, very strong. Trying to see to pick great. 17 games played, it looks like, at the majors so far. So it's definitely one of those supports that is getting some favorable game time, and I think there's definitely reason why. Pretty much does it all, I feel like. And strong laner, great nuke, wave shoving potential. You've got a silence, you've got a stun, you've also got a BKB piercing stun that's great versus spirit heroes. Can also leash people together, and you can see some synergy with people like the Doom. But not to mention, you've got an Aghanims, which is pretty good against any illusion heroes. You've also then got the Aghanim shard as well, which gives you a little bit of healing and a shard. So I literally labeled everything one hero does, and that's literally all you could ever ask for. We never see a support have all of that. You could literally go down and check every single box, and Grimstroke has got them checked. That's crazy to think of.
Yeah, people have talked in the past about how sort of the idea of modern Dota design versus older hero design, and obviously older heroes, most of them have gotten reworked over the years, but this is like the pinnacle, I feel like, of that whole, modern Dota hero kit, where, okay, the spells are all a bit fancy, but when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, like I said, Grimstroke can do it all, and that makes it such a valuable first pick. Especially since, they're still finding hidden depths to this hero. At the major, I feel like, despite how strong Grimstroke's been for so long, the big revelation has been that Ags, that dark mirror illusion has been so powerful at counteracting single strong carries, and just the amount of damage it does, the amount of power it offers in a fight, just out of your support in something you can fairly easily pick up in a longer game. It's just one more layer of greatness on this pick. But UOW, they go from you sort of one generic hero that does it all to a very focused pairing. Io, Sven, I don't know the last time I would have seen these first two, but at least Wyvern's banned.
It's something that UOW have a lot of prowess on. I've seen them play it a couple times, and I think earlier in the season when I saw them play it, I said something like, this is a pocket strat that they are going to have going down to the later stages of the season, and we're seeing it come out in this first phase. It's something they're really, really comfortable on. If there are not many AEL teams, I don't even think UQ have the capability to play something like the IO. So this is something that, if you make it into the grand finals, the opposition probably going to have to ban it out, because it is a hero that just changes the dynamics of how you play Dota. And you see the answer from Refugees going to be the Necrophos. It's a very early Necro game, which I might be slightly worried about. But my issue is versus the IO is that Necro's very immobile, and IO can just split you up across the map like with ease. You just play IO Sven, and the rest of your heroes play for pick off and for team fight. That's all IO lacks. Pick off, team fight. You don't really care about lane shoving because you're going to be with another carry or someone else to do it. So pick off, lane shove. That's why we so often see something like Secret used to run the IO Spirit Breaker, because you're able to set up for that pick off potential and then also have a little bit of team fight prowess as well. So this is something that I always highlight when you see an IO.
Yeah, and I feel like you make a great point about the Necrophos, right? That immobility seems to be, to me, the reason why the hero, we don't see as much of it anymore as we do it in high-level Dota, at least, as we once did. You know, not just the fact that it is kind of slow to get around the map, but also the fact that Necro, even a core Necro, rarely has solo kill potential on a lot of these heroes, or at least burst kill potential, always vulnerable. Like, if a Sven runs at you in the lane as Necrophos, you're almost certainly backing off if there's any sort of, you know, net worth parity there, because it's much more likely that you get caught and bursted than you're able to catch and burst someone. So you're almost required to move slowly around the map with an entourage of one or more support heroes. And yeah, Grimstrike and Necrophos, that's a great natural combo to do that with, but it's still like a very kind of cumbersome way to set your team up, and a more experienced, more mobile team, not to mention one with an IO, could run rings around you. Like you said, hugely comfort heroes for UOW. Gabala Sven has been terrific ever since, you know, the last time Sven was big in the meta, so I'm excited to see what they can do. It's, you know, a tough ask for Refugees to overcome to try and stay in this tournament, but, you know, this next couple of picks are going to be critical for them in terms of piling on more counters. I don't think what they have right now is enough.
Yeah, I feel you're right. I think these counters have to start stacking up. We'll see where they're able to come through, though. Refugee, at the moment, looking to try and protect their Necro with banning out a couple of the other green heroes, the Viper, the Pugna, and also the Wind Ranger gone. I like getting rid of the Huskar. It's something an Elite likes to cheese with. We haven't seen him, but when we did see him play it recently, he didn't look very good on it, unfortunately. So, but I'm always down for a Huskar getting banned against a team that don't mind picking it. I just don't want to cast Huskar. Like, that hero just, it's not fun. I don't know. I don't know how people like it.
Refugees, the ones to ban out the Viper. That would have seemed like a somewhat viable pick into the Sven. I mean, how do you think you go about countering this IO Sven lineup? Do you tunnel vision on counter picking one or both of these heroes? Do you try and play your own game and go faster, you know, than the Sven before he can really get online with his BKB plus a couple of items? What's the play?
What they've got right now is pretty decent. You want crowd control, AoE abilities, and usually I'd say the Scythe isn't the greatest because the IO burst heal, but if you're easily able to soul bind the IO with the +1, so there you get that double Scythe combo, so IO won't be able to get the burst heal. So I think what they have is pretty decent at the moment. Trying to see, you just have to like, you have to avoid the Sven. That is the main issue that we always see. Just people know it, but they don't do it. They don't avoid the hero like a Bristleback. People won't avoid him, but you know you're supposed to, but they just don't do it. And well, now we're gonna see a Slaughter getting picked up here for UOW. So a lot of physical damage, which I'm kind of intrigued. I thought they were gonna go for a little bit of magic to deal with the Necro, but it gives them a really strong lane. It gives them also some pick-off potential as well, some Roshan taking opportunities. You might be worried about getting trolled, though, which I think is a pretty good matchup versus the Slaughter and the IO Sven. Although if you fall behind, then the Sven can definitely take over, which is a bit of a worry, but the evasion's always nice to deal with the Sven, and you are by far the best lane to go against the Slaughter.
Yeah, I mean, the pick's still on the table. I was wondering if Refugees should try and pick like a more of a death ball strat, obviously. One of the classic areas where Necrophos has been, a valuable asset to a team. And, rather than trying to out-farm a Sven, who's, obviously going to be cleaving down stack camps, the IO make's going to be teleporting around the map to all where the best farm is, it does look like they're going in that direction. The Omni Knight pick up something from the Necro. So why have just one sort of awkward, non-solo killing, immobile, heal-based character when you can go for a second one in the same draft areas?
I think I don't mind where their head's at, but I think they're going to get run across the map here. They're going to lack a lot of damage, I feel, without Scythe. But yeah, I can see where they're going. Like, you've got the Dispel for the Stormhammer, the Spell for the Corrosive Haze, you got the Guardian Angel, but...
Oh, the minus armor boys are all here.
Yeah, it's a lot of minus armor, which means that Guardian Angel is going to be pretty nice, but once that Guardian Angel expires, what are you really going to be able to do on Refugee? I'm worried. I think there needs to be a lot of team chemistry when you pick up this Omni Knight, and we'll have to see how they're able to play with it.
Okay, odds on this being a core Omni Knight. It was picked in the major once. It looked terrible. Liquid lost, but it's been the ice has been broken on the Shard Omni Knight safe laner. If they're going for a really early timing, which I can't imagine you're going to try and go late against these mobile heroes that farm well and scale well. And yeah, they've got a troll, so you need some sort of focal point for the Omni Knight spells. That's it. But it could still easily be mid troll safe lane Omni. I'm keeping my hopes of.
No, that's
okay.
No, no, it's just not happening.
All right,
they picked the troll for the slaughter lane.
They scuppered my speculation mid-spec with that troll pick. But, as you mentioned, very strong carry for Refguee Esports. It is something that they needed. It seems like they need a bit more, though. They're lacking control right now in a big way. I'm still not convinced by their tower damage or their hero damage. I feel like you need to buff up at least one of those areas. It's tricky. Can we even say they're in charge of the lanes right now?
10 seconds remain.
Well, I'm still trying to work out how they're playing. It's a troll slaughter. I don't know. This is a Necro 3 or 2. I'm kind of against it being a 2 because they don't see their lane counter. You see, they're trying to ban some heroes to go into it. Well, that is a great OD ban. Like, it would have actually destroyed Refugee if they picked OD.
Yeah.
No, I think UOW won the lanes as well already, even though I think the troll heavily deals with the slaughter. There's just like... Again, they're like, okay, so it has to be, if Refugee have a chance of winning this game, I think it has to be a Necro 3, an Omni Knight 5, which that doesn't sound good having a Grimstroke Necro lane, but you need a playmaker for elite, because if you don't, you're going to get run across the map, you're going to get pickoffs, if it's going to be, if they're last picking their support, I'd be really worried.
Does elite have a TA?
10 seconds.
He does, but that's too slow. You need like a spirit hero.
Okay.
Like you...
It's just been super popular right now, and in terms of a hero, like, a spirit hero is difficult seemingly to play with the Omni Knight and Necro because they don't want to ever be in or be the focus, and they tend to move faster than those heroes can keep up, whereas, especially with the new sort of range-based build, that's another hero like Troll that doesn't mind getting gone on, but can easily, kite around UOW while you cleanse it up, buff it up with the Omni Knight and the Grimstroke. But it's the Magnus. Okay, yeah, the strength carry that they wanted, that they needed. And, you mentioned heroes that can do it all like the Grimstroke. I feel like this is the OG in the core position. Takes team fights, wins the team fights, provides his own disable and his own damage in an ideal situation. Obviously, situations can be less than ideal, and in that case, the Magnus can look pretty meager. But how do you feel about this, Ares? Okay, well, there's some more stunts and some more tower push. UOW, their intent is very clear here.
Just exactly what I'm saying. Just pick stuns, pick team fight. That's what they've gone for on UOW. You've got ways to initiate with the slaughter, with the Leshrac. It looks like they're back with Mark playing the off lane as well for the slaughter and Billy on the support. So maybe they weren't happy with Billy's satanic second item.
I mean, it won the game, right? Like, clearly instrumental. I thought Billy, played pretty well, but I think Mark is just like, maybe was the more confident Hoodwink player, and now, you know, ready to dominate on the aggressive playmaking Slider again. I mean, this is definitely elite mid against the Leshrac, right? Is Magnus going to survive that matchup?
Trying to see. I think the Mag is going to have a bit of a... Well, Mag is not like a lane dominating hero. You just want to try and flash farm as much as possible and then go back and farm the jungle. And the only issue with doing that is that you're up against a Leshrac who wants to get active pretty early on and take your towers. So I think that the lane is going to be a little less favored just because it's ranged versus melee. It's a bit difficult for either to get killed just because Mag can skew away from any danger, and Lesh is going to be hard to catch. So I'd say it's probably 60-40 Lesh favored. I'd be more concerned on what happens after lane. I think the Lesh is going to do way too much. I think Dire's lineup is too slow. You're going up against a Sven Io where you just want to play 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit less, and then come online at a pretty good timing. And Sven is not going to need as many items as what Dire does. I mean, they just have no one to make plays here, which is a little worrying. But yeah, maybe they can go for this greedy farm-orientated lineup and hit a timing where they've got even BKBs. They will need BKBs. Maybe that's the timing they're looking for here on Dire.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely... One thing that you can say is they're definitely not taking an aggressive stance unless they somehow smash their lanes, right? Like, they could definitely all bunch up. But by default, when I look at a troll Magnus lineup or a lineup that has Omni and Necro, they're definitely more likely to try and soak up as much farm as they're allowed from the map, and they just feel like a punching bag right now. Not so much, you know, a criticism of their play, but their team is going to be static and just in farming positions, and heroes like, you know, Leshrac and Slada and Sven with a Wisp are just going to jump all over you. Just take their pick of heroes to pick off, you know, that are farming the triangle or trying to push out a wave. Could be brutal pretty quickly after the laning phase. We'll have to see how that goes. Maybe we can see some stellar positional play out of these static heroes that we mentioned. That's really what it's going to be about as we watch Kabbalah and Violama taking a very aggressive position, setting the tone for the game, going up and stealing the enemy bounty. The IO just going to hide and hover up near the back here to avoid danger while Kabbalah returns to lane. So nice bit of a heist there to start things off. And before things really get started, obviously this could be the last game of the series and the tournament for QUT, and that means we got to get our sponsor plugs in particular Chatime, who've been a very long time supporters of the AEL Uni League, our beverage sponsor. You can order their drinks right now, even if you're stuck in lockdown like me. It's a nice little salve for the soul, as is of course Indomie, particularly when ordering their noodles, can help you win this $4,000 gaming PC pack at indomie.com.au. Make sure you check that out. You know, get yourself a prize, give credit to our sponsors who've helped support this Uni League and all these players. That being said, it's going to take more than a cup of noodles to help QUT survive in the Uni League for now. It's going to take some stellar stuff, particularly from this man, Elite. Tons of pressure to carry the game here on this Magnus. And so far, I mean, things are looking somewhat static.
Pretty even. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see too many rotations.
Oh no, we've cursed it! Ancient Slayer, okay, manages to get just enough of a gap to pop that first death pulse. So this is the issue with core Necrophos in general. It's just such a long cooldown at level 1. You can't play that far up the lane, and Kimbap has the stroke of fate. Maybe if you had the point in Inkswell there at level 1, that aggression would not have been possible. But as soon as you skill that sort of more passive, farm-oriented, less controlling skill, your Necro is defenseless, right? This hero just needs a couple of levels to get going, and immediately things start going wrong on the side of QUT.
This is not a good sign, because if Necro has a bad lane, then I'd be really worried for Dire. This is a hero that does not come back well at all. We're seeing it a little bit through CIS, through the second season of the DPC, but it kind of fell off pretty heavily. I don't even know if it's been played at the major at all, so that's saying something, to say the least. He has not been played, so it's a bit worrying as they're going on Ancient once again.
Yeah, it just seems like a very awkward, I mean, he manages to survive and get out of there, but, you know, thankfully the ink swell's available. I feel like that could have been the level 1 engagement if Kimbap skilled differently, but I mean, what do you expect, right? You need to both have the ability to protect your Necro, but you also kind of need to take charge of the lane aggressively early on, right? Because you want the Necro to be able to stand in the wave and get CS, get those, you know, I guess it's not Satyr stacks rolling anymore, the Heartstopper stacks. Gabala, they won't let him though, they can just turn the aggression on and off like a tap, especially with this Io. The move speed advantage on the Sven is overwhelming, just walks Ancient down there, and I mean, come up, that's a 30-second cooldown on the Ink Swell level 1. They just go in between swells, and you can see it's an easy kill as a result. Already 2 deaths on the offlane Necro. It's a bit of a disaster. They do get a kill back on the enemy offlaner there. Mark getting run down by Griefer on the Omni Knight there, a bit of a morale boost, and Elite is doing well so far, at least in terms of trading farm, like we mentioned. That's Mag's objective in the mid lane. This safe lane, though, that's where the focus is. Gubala is not the hero to feed right now.
No, he's not. Gubala is quite the menace when you're able to give him a lot of space and free farm and even these easy killers as well. So that is going to be something you have to be worried about. And your Dire are going to have to keep tabs around the Ancients. I wouldn't mind seeing the Omni Knight even make some movements down. Probably would like an early ward from Dire to be placed there. Otherwise, you're just going to give absolute free farm over to the Sven. And that's definitely what we... I'm trying to think maybe how do they play this top lane, because Billy should definitely be prioritizing stacking for the Sven. I think the Slaughter, he's not going to die in this lane, but he might not get as much farm versus a troll. I say that though, you're against the crap position 5 lane support, so maybe that lane will go a little bit better, and that's where I want to see the Snapfire put a little bit more emphasis on his down bot.
He's always under threat in this bottom lane. You can see how scared they have to play, and finally Gabala decides it's time to menace some more. There is a bit of a turnaround though. They have the Ink Spell available. This time they have the spells and the hit points, but now the damage has run out. Both of these heroes, they're out of cooldowns, and now Ancient Slayer, there's nothing Kimbap can do, just kind of body blocks his own hero there. It wouldn't have made a difference either way with how fast this Sven IO race car moves, but all they can do is try and retaliate on the top, but no, Mark has way too much health right now. Tao getting chased off there. Billy, as you said, just making sure in this top lane, right? When you're winning this hard in your own safe lane, maybe you don't need to, you know, stretch the limit as much with your economy elsewhere on the map. Just make sure that you're not bleeding kills the same way, and your team is naturally coming out ahead. Right now, things are looking very bad for QUT. I don't know what else they can do to reinforce this bottom lane right now. Maybe they need to swap it, or just completely retreat the Necro from the lane.
It's a yikes. I don't know. You really don't want to have a 1-1-1 build at level 3 for a Necrophos. That's just, you really hate to see it. Is 2 levels behind the Sven?
Yeah. I mean, the IO Sven, that was the first 2 picks. You knew what the lane was going to be. If you didn't want to have to build this way, like pick a stronger lane support or a different offlaner, I'm really not sure what the plan was, given how rough things have gone immediately on contact.
The Omni Knight kind of put them in a bit of a tricky spot. Gubala,
I mean,
they might get the kill.
Kimbap wasted the Ink Swell there on a creep. It didn't actually pop in the end, and so as a result, the Scrimstroke, that was a fancy play you tried to make, but Gabala...
I think they kill Necro too.
Just cleaves it down. Yeah, Ancient Slayer is sticking around here. They're just like fighting. Maybe you can make something of this, but no, there's so much regeneration on this Divine Llama Wisp, and now they're just going to walk this Necro down, even with the power of Ghost Shroud on his side. There's just no damage to threaten this Sven. And I mean, this is like Necro's whole game in a microcosm, right? You can't threaten kills. You yourself can be killed, even if it takes a few seconds, and as a result, your ability to stand near enemy heroes is just compromised, right? They're just sort of picking their moment to run at you, and I don't know, this Grimstroke support, maybe it would have worked out in a different life, but now that they're disadvantaged in the lane, it doesn't seem like you have the damage or control for Gubala, who has now skilled God's Strength, so things going from bad to worse here for the Dire.
I don't even think if you go an aggro tri-lane, you do much better.
Yeah, so the Omni Knight's not really an aggro tri-lane then, is it, with the Omni and Necro in it?
Maybe, yeah, honestly, you're right, but I think you just have to swap the troll. Yeah. Even then, like, they would just get so destroyed. The support's on Radiant, and Mark, actually? No, he's okay.
I mean, Mark has died once in this top lane already, right? Like, this is where things have been going well. Top and mid have been going fine for QUT broadly. They've been trading farm. But, yeah, it's just, this is where the bottom is drawing all the attention. Sven now at 7 minutes, level 6 with a Mask of Madness, treads and a wand. In addition, of course, you know, the natural buff of the IO being present. It's a lot for Tau to keep pace with, and we saw in game 1, you know, that Tau needed a bit of help keeping pace already. This is not the start they'd hoped for. And, I mean, I was going to say that we can nearly get Billy, but Billy's positioning is that aggressive because of how little this Omni Knight support does, right? Like, Omni Knight support with a strength hero, maybe you add enough damage to the lane, something like a Wraith King I almost expected to see, that can kind of like, you know, stun for itself and take advantage of the Heavenly Grace to threaten kills. But with this troll lane, the Omni really is just a defensive support, one who hasn't been creating stacks in the jungle at all, you know, the Snapfire just running interference on that, and yeah, it leaves them with relatively few ways to come back into this game, it feels like. Even Elite right now doing the triangle himself, just recognizing that he has to find his own farm and kind of become the one position because you know, the side lanes are just falling apart right now.
Omni's movement is about 5 minutes too late on this ward as well that is about to drop. Mid lane, Elite. Yeah. RP use, heal that.
Okay, nice shot. Great response, actually, as Divine Llama comes mid, try and make something happen. You know, the bottom lane was going so well. Surely I can just get it anywhere on the map. But, oh, the Leshrac damage. Elite tried to turn around the aggression. Just eats up a bunch of Pulse Nova ticks, of course. The relocate pulls the Lesh back out. Neither team wanting to actually risk losing their mid laner there. Turns out neither of them was fully certain how that engagement was going to evolve. And in the end, nothing happens. Oh, they go back in. Oh, no. Immediately. Actually, Divine Llama came back in. I thought that was the reload in and out, but it was the reload out and in. So Calm comes back, but it's not a great trade. They get Kimba, but not the Leshrac. It's a great reaction by Elite to get out of the way, and the Sven isn't present. Would have thought you maybe bring him back in instead. As Calm goes down. Actually, look, and now, oh, no. Gabala takes the stack. I thought Elite did that before, but he didn't have time to finish it, and you just leave a big box of loot there for Gabala to take. Surely you understand the danger. But, I mean, whether or not they understood it, they just can't walk up into this Sven. He's a scary boy right now, and even scarier after reaping all that bonus gold. He still has his own ancient stack left to take on the other side. I mean, Greyfoot can scout that out, but who's going to take it? You know, they can't bring the Magnus over there in time to empower up the Troll. And even if they wanted to walk Tau up into that dangerous position, so it looks like Kubala will just continue to scoop all the farm on the map. Now he takes the mid tower. Elite just has to stand and watch. No RP available. Aries, this is crazy. UOW are accelerating this game so quickly out of control of QUT.
And meanwhile, Billy's just... he's soaking up the dead lane. Yes, Ancient Slayer's getting a little bit of space, but you've died 4 times. Like, you do not care about the Necro actually getting a little bit out of this as you see what Radiant are getting across the map. Gabala and Divine Llama, they took a fat stack. They took the tier 1 tower. They're going to get a kill on tower up top, knowing the battle trance is on cooldown.
Calm, continuing to stack camps and actually take the hard camp away. Going to leave the engines for his fan. They were thinking about going on him, but they're going to be distracted because they have to protect Tau. No opportunity to get back in the driver's seat for QUT as they just react and react and react to the crazy pressure that's being put on them. But, I mean, that's what they drafted around, right? You've drafted heroes that are solely reactive in the Necro and the Omni Knight, more or less. And, against this team, you are definitely going to have to play from second mover position. Right now, it's not working out so well. They preserve Ancient Slayer a little bit with that Heavenly Grace, but he has no mana for the Reaper's side, so no way to regenerate quickly. No one can bail him out. No mana boots available. The team's just so behind, and Gabala will inevitably chase him down for yet another death. The Troll is just giving up and farming the bottom lane. Elite is farming the mid lane. I mean, this is the gameplay we saw from Elite in Game 1, right? Just trying to pick up as much individual efficiency as possible, but inevitably, you need someone else on the team to stand up. You won't win the game just hitting creeps on Magnus.
Oh, Elite, no.
Oh, no! Oh. Oh. That was almost...
It was a cute attempt.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't waste the cooldown, but geez, it shows you, you know, you have to try and sniff these things out. It does have the double damage rune, so if you got the hit there, maybe that's a kill, but, you know, you're not saving that RP to go with your team. That shows the kind of mental state they're in, the amount of belief Elite has in his squad at the minute.
Okay, well, they get the tier 1 top.
Teleports top into the dying tier. Okay, he's gonna walk off.
Did you sign his profile as well?
I did sign his profile, yes.
Must be very happy about that.
He was over the moon. I was oddly happy with this, but yeah, you know, give the people what they want, I guess. He needs some solace right now because QUT are getting devastated here. And I don't know if this Omni Knight is going to be able to bail them out ultimately. It's not really Griefer's fault, it's just this hero. This is all it does. It walks around the map, and unfortunately, Heavenly Grace will not keep you safe from Gubala. He skills up the Guardian Angel, but doesn't press it. Would have probably been a pretty selfish use of it anyway, and may not even have preserved him, given their ability to walk him down. This team really only functions as a unit, and instead, they are spread out, you know, like leaves in the wind, trying to catch up on farmers. They are 6k goal behind at 12 minutes, Aries. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, don't know either. The Lester's going for a Swift Blink, which I think is just a debate. Goddamn hate it when players do this to the casters. Like, come on, guys. Like, what's going on here? Well, it's like, I thought the Satanic last game was a bait, but he still went for it. Bot lane, lot of action.
Okay, and Ancient Slayer, I mean, this is in theory what you want, right? In theory, this lineup works best when you go on the Necrophos, but in theory, the Omni Knight is behind the Necrophos to heal the Necro up and keep him alive with the Heavenly Grace and the Guardian Angel. In theory, Elite is behind the Necrophos, ready to RP you when you overcommit to the kill, and instead, the Necrophos is just a big ranged creep right now. And he will be for the whole game, right? Like, until they get together as 5 heroes, they can do nothing right now to threaten, you know, UOW. So as counterintuitive as it seems, I don't think you're out farming them, especially when you're constantly bleeding that control kills and towers. You just need to do what your lineup is meant to do. Get it together around Tau. Maybe once they have this diffusal on the troll, I mean, it's a meager mark, but it'll be some sort of power spike that they can move on. And actually, they're not even waiting for that. Tau's committing Heavenly Grace pre-cast, so that will not, you know, that'll reduce the duration of the Slaughter. Missed, but they just bail it out with the Wisp, and they'll come back in, no problem with this. I don't think this is a relocate that you can camp easily, even with 4 heroes already here. Elite, again, opposite side of the map, just trying to finish a Blink Dagger, which is not even alive yet on the Magnus.
I'm really trying to find a way for Dire to be able to come back in this, but this is how their lineup plays. Really slow. We don't have a tempo controller that I was asking for with their last pick. I see what they were going, but you couldn't lose the lanes this heavy, and against a Leshrac means you're going to lose a lot of your towers early, and you might get Kimbat picked off too.
Yeah. And Billy, I mean, they're in such an aggressive position right now. The smoke around their Snapfire, even if they see the snap, they can't go on it. They have to know it's forbidden fruit. Look at the positioning of Griefer's Omni Knight here. They're deep in the jungle. I mean, they struggled very heavily in the Vision game in Game 1 after the first sort of 10 minutes. So, you know, I'm glad to see them making more of a concerted effort here. But yeah, it's so hard to see them play like this when I imagine that at the draft phase after you see Sven, IO, you want to be the aggressor with the early timing and the low cooldowns in this game. To see them go completely the opposite direction and then just get taken advantage of like this, it's hard to know what these players can do no matter how hard they try here. They have to just kind of hope they get given an opening somewhere. Maybe once Elite gets this Blink Dagger, that's obviously going to be the pivotal timing, but I think at that point you're going to have one more high ground fight in you. We'll fast forward a little bit through this pause as it looks like players are dealing with some sort of connection issues. And of course, the winner of this, if it is UOW, this is their final match before Grand Finals, right? Like after this, they're up against the Ultra Chads. Do you think? I mean, this is a pretty strong showing from them. We're on form for an even Grand Finals, in your opinion.
I think UQ are on another level, unfortunately for them. But if they don't ban the IO, then I can see UOW taking it. If they, I mean, the game's still not over yet, so I don't.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. We shouldn't speculate too heavily. I was just like, the Ultra Chads have just been this, like, the monster at the end of this book for, like, this whole final series. They've been casting all these games, and they've just been chilling out in the upper bracket for most of them. Only played a couple of series, of course, as they've been nearly undefeated all season. And so it's natural. I'm anticipating finally getting to see whatever is the most worthy challenger take their chance. But, you know, we still have yet to determine that. Gubala doing his best to make it apparent as they go for another Roshan here. The Sven IO combo, just as deadly as anticipated, has the raw Hyperstone up now on top of Echo Saber, Mom, and the overcharge from the IO. You can see a pretty clear theme here in the itemization. They're going to run into Elite, the worst possible hero to lose this time. They saw him on that Radiant Obs and they moved perfectly to intercept. Now he does stay alive long enough to get the RP off, but without that skewer to use to push him back into the base, there's no kill available. So they just burn a 2-minute cooldown, and you know, know, this is the Aegis timing, so it's a pretty rough 2 minutes to be without your biggest spell by far. Of course, Calm took the Aegis on that left track. They're not concerned about Kubala dying anytime soon, and so he's able to complete a pretty aggressive build here with the bots into Kaya. Everything coming together beautifully for UOW right now.
Yeah, it is indeed. Now you can see the siege coming down the mid lane. Dire are nearby. I mean, Tao's got the Fusel. Let's see what they can do without the RP, though.
Their positioning's pretty interesting. They're going to go in on Calm. That is the Aegis Slash track, I must remind you. So this is maybe not the great initiation. It seems like Tao actually forced to burn the ultimate very early. They're kiting it brilliantly right now. He's going to die pretty quickly after this falls down. Okay, Ancient Slayer does have the heal available. They burn mechs. They go in. They cast the side. That's not a kill, but it's going to hold down Kubala for long enough. Then they might regret not giving the Aegis to their Sven, and so they do. Mega kill streak ends. That gold goes to the Troll Warlord. Massive win for them, but now Calm cruises through. They have more than one damage dealer. My god, they melted so quickly there. The team fight was going strong for them in the first part, but wow, they just fell over like a row of dominoes as soon as that Leshrac showed up, and it's hard to call that a win, even though they were able to bring down Kubala. Well, Billy, actually, they're just going to go deep. They want Kimb up. They are never done. No support suffered to live there as he's chased down. Great vision by Mark, sussing him out on that even deeper Radiant Ward they just placed, right? The one that they caught the Magnus on is gone. They just immediately put it up even closer to the base, restricting the enemy movement completely now.
Yeah, what a fight. Like you said, you're losing the Sven, but you're able to come back in. Oh, Tao?
Even more aggression, Tao. I mean, they keep trying to get this position behind their opponents. I understand they feel that they need to find, like, you know, the IO ideally, but they just haven't been able to get onto Veil Armor until now, actually. The Skewer's going to bring Elite back in, so it looks like they will have the damage, but no, it's just perfect IO kiting. Okay, Tao switches to range form, chucks that last, you know, cleaver or whatever it is, and finishes off that pesky IO support, finally giving to Veil Armor his just desserts. But, I mean, he'll be smiling all the way into the fountain because he has, you know, really carried his team to the brink of victory here and qualification of the grand finals on this signature IO.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
He has indeed. This is definitely something, you know, we were kind of getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but there was something was well and truly worth saying top lane. Oh, the action continues.
Yeah, Elite went for a play onto the left track. I appreciate the attempt. You got to go for those sorts of things. Now the Grimstroke ultimate going to be wasted on just a solo hero. I mean, I don't mind aggressively chucking out that Soulbind. You know, often there's a hero behind the hero that you want to catch, and you can make a play from there. But instead, they don't find anything. UOW have just outmaneuvered QUT pretty heavily across the map, and the lineup they've drafted hasn't helped as we just watch Griefer kind of meander around the Radiant jungle, not actually farming it because, of course, it's an Omni Knight, you can't. But, you know, just look to find some enemy heroes, which he now does. Here's another kill over to Calm. And, yeah, right now there's so few heroes on the Dire who can make plays by themselves, and yet it's difficult to see it, how they're able to safely group up and push down a lane. At that point, you're just asking for, you know, this monstrous Sven to line up on your softest hero and instantly crit them to death. Not even worrying about a BKB this game in the face of Scythe and RP. Just going to go straight into the assault, and when he's this far ahead, there's no downsides to that build, I think.
Yeah, no, there is not. There is just... You take a look at what it's going to be able to do as well for the team. Like, it's just such a buff up, you know, taking towers more. They've got so much minus armor. You know, it's still only level 1 in the Corrosive Haze, which is a bit surprising. The leveling on the Slaughter might get caught out here, but it's got some backup. Nice crush.
Yeah, he's trying to slide away. Mark not able to get to that second level of ultimate just yet. And okay, now they've managed to save him. I was about to say, if he dies here, it's going to delay it further.
Just get rid of it. Like, you have to do your homework. You got to ban the IO now. This is crazy.
Like you mentioned, yeah, if someone's this good at this hero, you really need to respect it. And Device just going to get out again. This is what, like, the IO save looks good when you're behind. You're like, well, we only lost our IO. When you're in front, it's disgusting. They can't even camp that relocate. It's going to cost them. The Necro side does absolutely nothing to the overcharged, healed up Slaughter. It's only level 1 as well, and that spell suffers even more for the lack of levels in it. And we just see a complete collapse again for QUT. They really cannot fight right now, and yet their space to do anything else to try and farm the map is steadily decreasing. Elite, he's going to be the victim of that next, right? He's been trying to find farm all game, although he does come back up the hills directly into the Troll Waller. There's no team around him this time. It was a huge play from QUT. That's the kind of things they need. Draws out the over-aggression from Calm and punishes his streak, but they are paying the ultimate price, some might say, in Dota terms. If it's not your throne, zone. This is the thing you least want to lose. The Rax is being taken, and that trade enabled, of course, by the sick physical damage out of the Sven, and all this Midas armor has the full assault complete. This Troll Warlord is going to need more than a Guardian Angel to stand up to him, but Elite might be it. Actually, Kupala doesn't have any sort of survivability left, no Aegis, and of course no BKB, so they bring him down along with the Io. Suddenly, I'm not going to say they're back in the game. They did just lose a whole melee Rax, but QUT, that is by far the biggest hope spot they've had all game.
Guys, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that gives him some... At least gives him a little bit of a shining spot to look at from these past couple of fights. You can definitely hold a melee Rax loss. Maybe they can take a T1 tower here. You do have to be careful because the boys are coming over.
Kind of committing. Elite gets a skewer onto Billy. That's a good one to find if you can burst it quickly, but you have to burst it quickly. Okay, Calm decides to go onto Griefer instead. Griefer actively taking the attention, and that turns out to be a great play. His team are able to finish off the support. Okay, Calm does run him down eventually. Team cannot keep the Omni Knight safe, but can they punish this Leshrac? They are exploiting the squishiness as he shows. He misses the Split Earth under pressure. Elite starting to finally make his weight felt in this series as Magnus is a threat with the Blink and the Echo Saber, and of course another conveniently placed DD rune picks up a valuable core kill again.
Yeah, alright, some things starting to swing their way a little bit here.
They grouped up areas.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing that can happen. Now, speaking about those BKB timings as well from Dire, we're starting to see them. Tao's got his 9-second. Elite's almost got the BKB completed for himself. We're going to see the Necrophos going BKB next item too. So they're all in on BKB, which is great versus Leshrac, great versus Snapfire. The stuns as well, you got to keep in mind still that minus armor and the Sven damage is something to fear. So maybe they're going to put all their eggs in the basket of just winning a team fight in 9 seconds, with the Guardian Angel. If that's not the case, then I think Radiant still are going to have the sustain and the damage to take them over. So it's going to be a bit difficult for Dire. They've definitely got to posture themselves around a choke point where they can take a fight, but even then, like that, a choke point fight really favors Radiant too. So if they can get the initiation, they can turn it from there. Some signs of life here from Dire, but it's still going to be hard to come back from. They are going to smoke up though.
Yeah, both teams smoking up. First smoke from the Radiant doesn't find anything. They kind of just follow their cores up into the Radiant jungle and probably immediately realize what's going on when they see that it's empty. But, the Roshan will be respawning soonish, so we're going to see an immediate counter move, and Elite goes in armed with that Inkswell. They're going to crush Mark, just kill the slider off immediately. No chance. He doesn't actually have a BKB, nor is he going for one. So maybe, just the dual threat of these BKB piercing spells on the side of the Dire is convincing them to not go. But, I mean, Calm doesn't seem to need one right now. Just walks down Kimbap, kind of catching out that support on the side there. So 1-for-1 trade on out-of-position heroes. Still, though, promising signs. This is clearly what the lineup's meant to do. It's coming online, a little bit late, perhaps, when you consider how much they've already given up. But it's only a 6k gold lead after all that. The Rax is their biggest concern, plus just the threat of the Radiant lineup, right? It's not so much what you've lost so far, but if you lose another fight against this Sven, if he's alive, if the Io is alive or can buy back, they will destroy your base so fast. So, they cannot allow themselves any more losses. And I think the most charitable thing you can say about this QUT draft is that it requires a much higher degree of skill and execution to play, right? Elite is basically the only hero that can set up the team fights they need, because if they can't, like you said, close a team fight in 9 seconds within this BKB Guardian Angel combo, then I don't see how they win one at all.
Yeah, you're right. The level of execution from either team in fights is a lot easier for Radiant to be able to take, and it's just off the back of you can put Troll on the front line, maybe you can force something. Radiant.
Another smoke. They spot Griefer, but there's more than one hero here. Mark, no fear diving in again. Great ult for the Grimstroke, and they get the binding off. There's no BKBs available, but they can't get any more control. The Grimstroke got stunned. No further spells cast. No silence in particular. Great job by Elite. Catches them grouping up. The cleave is doing its job. They get 3 already. Now can they follow up on Gubala? He's the big target, but he is he's diffusal by the Troll. He's forced to stand and fight. He's trying to tread swap, do anything he can, but despite all his farm, despite the monstrous start in the bottom lane, he can't stand up to multiple heroes with all of their buffs and damage shields. That's all the fight. That's everything they need in a fight there. They had it perfect. Great job by Griefer to bait them back, fighting them in the choke, and even after the Grimstroke combo kind of whiffs, Elite comes through with the save. That time, their execution was good enough.
Yeah, there we see the execution paying off, and unfortunately for them, Roshan not going to be up in until 30 seconds. So,
Oof.
yeah, will be where we see Radiant back alive. But what a fight around a choke point. You know, they use those BKB timings and the Guardian Angel to their advantage. The counter initiation from Elite. You just have Tau forcing them all to group up. I was a bit worried that.
Oh, I've got such an awkward feeling, Aries. They're trying to set up on this Roshan, but it's not available yet. You can see multiple heroes just standing in the pit because they are willing the Roshan to spawn. But now they're going to have to fight a second fight with no RP for this Aegis. They blew their load on that first fight. How much can they do when there's 50 seconds until that Elite ultimate is up? Now they're going to chase Mark and Divine Llama off, but, you know, they've just now gotten Gubala back on the map. The Roshan, of course, has conveniently just now respawned with that Aghanim Shard on it, and, yeah, despite their recent gains and bringing the lead back to 4k gold, this is still going to be a massive, massive test for QUT. Do they go now, or do they have to try and wait for this RP cooldown, surely?
They're going to try.
Okay.
They're going to have to go back, though, because mid's getting shoved in from Calm, and that is a catapult wave, and if Calm actually sticks around, it's a bit risky, though.
This is so
I've got very good vision in the area. This is the big issue that Radiant don't have at the moment, so you can't really walk up that high ground. We saw what happened previously, so they're just going to have to try and split them up here on Radiant. How close to any items are they? Calm's got 3,400 gold, so a decent bit, but yeah, like with top getting shoved in, with all the lanes getting shoved in, they have to make a move now.
They are willing to go in the pit on Tau, but as soon as they realize there was a Calm illusion in the pits, they see that they smoked the troll and a glimmered him, and it was immediately scouted. They are committing, though. They're setting up. They're going to say now is our time. The RP is back off cooldown, so at least they're at their full strength, and catches Mark, almost pre-blinks onto the slider. He's immediately silenced, so no follow-up. Now Divine Llama is in, though, and Elite is also in. They have to be so careful about this Magnus. He needs to sort of be the initiator and the counter initiator, which is a huge ask. So far, though, it's worked out. The IO relocator is going to be forced. Maybe they can kill him on the return here. Divide. Oh, no. Perfect tether back across the pit. And so the skirmishing continues. Roche is down to half health. But, of course, that doesn't necessarily help either team. And now, Gubala. When will he commit? Mark whiffs the Slithering Crush. Maybe this is their chance to go. They do have the Soul Binding ready. They're going to have to give up this slider. They scythe him down. 74 seconds without Mark. Of course, no buyback available. Tau has committed his BKB, though. They're going to lose their tower and maybe even their racks to this Lesh. But if they get this Aegis, it might be worth it. I think you can't let Gubala have it. And so they're going to go... Oh, Gubala, he has Spider Legs. He steps into the pit. He snatches the Aegis. No! They had no way to stop him. BKB and Spider Legs after all of that. You wouldn't expect it to be something so small. Now they're going to lose the Aegis and the racks. It all goes wrong. I mean... Aries, I would have expected them to, like, suffer a devastating teamfight collapse to end it all, but God, to go out with a whimper, they just get the Aegis right-clicked by the Sven. Faster fingers are required sometimes, boys, and they're not going to get a second chance at it. The Omni Knight crushed by the newly energized Sven. Now they are without 2 full lanes of fracs. They gambled everything on it, and they just didn't pick the Aegis up. Shades of TI3 orange here.
Alright, well, Calm, he's okay. So Elite got the Aghanim Shard and the cheese, so
yes.
They got something out of the Aegis. Not that I feel like it's going to be as important. He goes for the Horn Toss, so they don't give it to the Grimstroke.
I would have thought the Troll even, maybe. Like, if you're all in on Mag RP DPS...
Oh, no, that Aghanim Shard is actually trash.
I've never seen it before, but, I mean...
It's trash.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, the Grimstroke Shard is huge, right? The cleanse, it's very important, right, with their heroes. So many disables on the side of the Radiant to remove. But right now, I'm more worried about their damage, right? Like, Gubala doesn't even need to kill their heroes at all. He just needs the buildings, and now with the BKB on top of the Aegis, on top of everything else, they're gonna try. This is their first best chance. Skewer onto the Sven. He dies immediately, no follow-up. The kisses don't even arrive in time before the Sven drops. But do they have a follow-up? Can they kill Gubala twice? He BKBs, walks out of the troll. In the meantime, Calm takes the tower, staying true to his namesake, takes out his third, like, uncontested tier 3 of the game, and the IO just bails the Sven.
He went to base.
This is so heartbreaking. QUT, like we said, they have such a good recipe for fights now, and suddenly they can't find a fight. The lack of control. They're just watching these heroes slip away under their noses. Mark not even bothering to retreat from this overall engagement. Of course, the IO has to come back in, but he's fighting this out. They scythe it down, doesn't get Gubala into the bargain now, so Gubala's going to be a threat, but Elite pops his own BKB. It's a nice RP, doesn't catch the Sven though, and there's just too many threats, right? The Leshrac doesn't die. Elite doesn't have the DPS to finish him off. They bring down Ancient Slayer instead. Now they finally bring down Gubala. Can they bring down Calm as well? He's actually out of juice, out of mana here, so they're going to have to beat a retreat one way or the other, but Elite has the point to follow him down. Elite putting in absolute heroics here right now for his team, but he's getting a lot of damage on him just from even this Snapfire, and Divine Llama is back in the fight. Tower drops to the Lesh. That IO, that goddamn IO shows up, Ares, and refills Calm just enough to polish off both cores, forces the Magnus buyback, but he has to watch his Grimstroke die. He can't get out of the fountain fast enough, and now then Rax is going to be the next target to fall. Oh, the all chat, not the all chat Calm. This is already rough enough for QUT. They skewer back Billy. They're going to get the Snapfire kill, it looks like, and Tau actually in deep on the Lesh, going to burn that mana away again. All of the hard work the IO done has been erased. Can they bring him back in? No, they can't. They'll finally lose the Lesh, but man, QUT, every time it looks like they're going to get some sort of trade going, it suddenly gets a lot worse before it gets any better.
Yeah, I mean, was honestly solid fight. We saw the IO had to relocate out the Sven. The only issue is that the Troll used BKB Battle Trance before that relocate, so he didn't really have a lot left in the tank. He was getting kited. A great two-man RP from Elite, but there wasn't any follow-up, and Elite really did it all by himself in that fight. Unfortunately, he had to buy back, so now he's down a decent chunk of change. You know, he's still working on the Assault Cuirass, which that extra armor is going to be ever so impactful here, but they have good wave clear, so they are going to be able to defend the base. The only issue is that they're up to their last melee racks, and the tier 4s have also taken an immense amount of beating. They might be able to find Mark.
Yeah,
nice blink away. So
yeah, he's just too slippery there. The vision that they were doing a great job. They had some deep wards here earlier in the game on the Dire, but you know, obviously have been trapped on their side of the map for so long. They don't have that potential anymore, and without any sort of blink stunts, it's very hard to grab a slippery hero like Slardar. They do put the DD onto their Troll, so I would have thought maybe they're going to try and bank it on their mag somehow, get his bottle in there and hold it for the high ground fight, you know, get a huge RP hit. But it must be said that the fights have gone well for them where they've been able to find an RP. It's not been that they've had trouble killing heroes. Even their Elite alone was able to eventually bring down Gubala. And now, the IO relocate. They try the cheap stuff, but they get the Omni Knight here, and they get the glyph off. Oh no, there's no further relocate. Actually, Elite, okay, arrives in time. They're going to skewer back Gubala. This could be massive. They catch both of them, but the IO goes home, but not the Sven. The stuns prevent the retether. That's massive. Sven's dead, no buyback. Is the Roshan up? No, because it's not spawning for a while. I want anything to happen for QT off of this. So far, they've managed to win a lot of fights for not much reward, but at least they can feel good that they punished that sneaky attempt to end the game.
I mean, that was a big Phantom's Embrace coming through from the Grimstroke. That stopped the tether, and that was a costly play. I mean, in the end, you force Glyph, you get a kill on the Omni. Yes, Sven dies. I think you're kind of happy, though, with Glyph being on cooldown. You can do that again next relocate. You'll be able to get it. This time, you won't make the same mistake of, you know, unbreaking the tether. So, it is a death on your Sven as Calm doing a lot on Necro.
Oh, yeah, actually, they managed to get the solo kill on Ancient Slayer. I realized they hadn't had net worth up this whole time because the game moved so fast there in the mid-game for a while that you just forgot to switch over what we're looking at. But of course, Carl's absolutely dominating it. Multiple solo lanes of racks to his name. They're going to kill an IO illusion. Good gank. Hold on. But yeah, I think it's important to note that the gold lead has never been big throughout either game this series, right? Like, never even close to that stomp territory that we actually often see in Uni League. Instead, it's just been these small things that are actually, you know, massive in the end, like the Aegis pickup that aren't represented in raw stats that have created this huge gap between the two teams. That does mean that, in theory, the Dire can do this, right? Like, the Omni Knight obviously is miles off the Ags, but maybe if they can get it off a Roshan, that gives them a counter of sorts to this threat of the global Wisp backdoor. You know, they obviously have dominant team fights right now. the question is, you know, they have such a small margin of error remaining, and this might be the error. Elite already brought back before in the base. How long can Calm keep the stun going for? The Yules is going to preserve Elite. There's no more control on the Lesh, and they couldn't bring in anything in time, even with the IO, so they smuggle Elite out of there. No trades possible because they have to just focus on defense right now. So much pressure on QUT, but they are holding firm for the moment.
They are firm and steady. Just keep that melee racks alive. It has healed back up to full. We'll probably see Radiant just look to hold for the next Roshan, I imagine. They've got some very good vision down at the moment and looking to continue building up those items. And Slaughter working on the BKB, so is down.
Oh, no buyback on this Slash. I was about to say Calm could be the target to go, but he just proves too difficult to kill. Has the Hex, 17 charges of the Bloodstone, Blink, and Yules. They need Elite right now to do most things on the map, and he can't be everywhere. So, as good as that kill would be, they have to let Calm go.
And Calm is such a nuisance.
Oh no, this time it's Gubala's double damage. I have a feeling he's going to get a lot more done with it. They are looking for this Slash Wreck, but that kind of means that now they do know the entire Dire team's in the bottom lane. They have their pick. Do they set up on the Roshan that will be respawning hopefully soon, or do they try and collapse? I think they're going to go for the Roshan because it's a safe play, and this is their chance to close things out here in this series UOW, but you have to be so afraid at all times of what Gubala might do to your racks. They're even pinging it right now.
They already lost to T4.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
good.
The creeps. Yeah, at some point that global backdoor might be coming for your throne if the Sven gets big enough. They smoke into the Roche here. So again, QT really hoping the Aegis timing is good for them, and again, it really is not at all. That's twice today that twice in this match alone the Roche timer has failed them. But you know, at least they have the good positioning here. That Radiant don't know where they are. They're behind them in a way. And actually, oh, what is that? The Snapfire spit back. Maybe they did have an idea.
Oh,
good lord,
no.
That is a crazy play by Billy, and it's gonna maybe net them a massive reward. The Troll Warlord's completely caught out here. He, of course, has no buyback. They've already been stretched to their absolute limit here. The Necro is going to be in this one to the end with him. They can't possibly bring this Slider down. They just heal him up with Divine Armor in response to the side. Two heroes going to die here without buyback on QUT. Absolutely the most brutal way it could have happened. How did that Snapfire spit come about? Was that just to get the Slider into the row? Should they sniff out that Radiant rotation?
I think they just walked in Roshan, saw him TP and cancelled it. Like, they didn't TP back as a squad on Dire. It's just a big mistake. We've been seeing these creeps inside the base that have caused some issue. The split push the rat this entirety of the game, and it might cost them here.
They're trying to throw the IO in now. Like, you can't get any more cocky, but at least UOW, I mean, they've earned the bragging rights here tonight. It looks like Elite, he's done so much this game. Really heroic effort. A lot of players on the Dire have done their best this game, but ultimately a few cruel moments have cost them massively. And even now, as we see Elite do some fancy horn toss tricks, the throne is dying. The throne is dying, and with it die the hopes of QT in this Uni League season. They're on the steps of their fountain. Gubala is whacking the buildings. They manage to kill the Omni Knight in the fountain. Calm is tanking it up. They commit the Slider. Gubala, hurry up and kill that throne. Your team are dying, but it's going to go down ultimately. Good sportsmanship from QT. They threw out the GL next, but you have to imagine they're hurting at the minute. Having some time to process at the end of the game there does not help, and especially when your tournament life gets decided by a couple of Howlers Aries. That was a difficult series to watch, but you know, shout outs to UOW all the same. They earned themselves that grand final spot well and truly.
UOW do. I do want to give props though to Elite. That was quite the mag performance from him. Tao also looked pretty decent as well in the Troll Warlord, but this is just not what we're looking for in a draft out of them. They played out of their minds though to still have an opportunity to be able to take this second game. With how rough it was looking, you know, the draft, I think it was a bit out of their favor. The early lanes didn't go well, but you know, the plays they were able to make, they stayed calm. Unfortunately, just was not enough. UOW, this Ire Sven strat coming through once again. This is something that, you know, we've seen a couple times now throughout the AEL League, and I think it's something that UQ Ultra Chads have to pay attention to. Like, just get rid of the Ire. Get rid of the Ire. It seems like they don't play it often, but when they play, they've got a really high win rate on it. Dalai Lama looks great on the Ire, so just get rid of it. Now, I really don't want to see it in the grand finals. What I do want to see, though, is an exciting matchup. We get to see UOW, a little bit of revenge, hopefully, you know, trying to take down UQ Ultra Chads, who bested them in the group stages, you know, bested them in the upper bracket finals as well. So we'll see if UOW are going to be able to do it.
Yeah, there's definitely been some twists and turns along the way, but these are the two teams that I guess if you had to write in names at the start of the finals bracket would have been the grand finalists. They've looked very strong, not least here tonight, UOW in this 2-0 clean victory to earn that rematch. So we are going in with the highest possible caliber of grand finals gameplay, and that makes me very happy. I mean, granted, there's things you can do about this IO. Like I said, you can ban it. You could not first ban Ancient Apparition, at least when you're playing against the IO team. QUT kind of played their way into this a little bit and then found themselves with no way out. But even if you do ban the IO, this Khan Leshrak did 61,000 hero damage and 14.7 thousand building damage, right? It was a great last pick, nail in the coffin stuff. But Leshrak has been very strong throughout this whole season of AEL, right? So it seems like they have a lot of heroes you need to respect. Mark looked massive on heroes as disparate as the Hoodwink and the Slardar this series. It really was a great clinic by UOW, as tough as it is to watch for QUT. They still get third place. Like, that is still, especially given that they lost round one of this finals. They did terrific to get themselves this far, and even this last draft, had its moments. So shout outs to them, shout outs to all our teams, and of course our sponsors as we've gone through all night. And Ari, shout outs to you, mate. It's been great casting this final series. Looking forward to coming back one more time sometime in the next week or so for those grand finals.
Yeah, very excited for the grand finals. It's going to be an exciting matchup. Like you said, props to Refguee. They had quite the low bracket run. They knocked out 3 teams. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to knock out the 4th to make it into the grand finals. And we got 2 teams left standing now. UQ Ultra Chads up against UOW Esports. What a grand finals showing it's going to be. They are, both the teams that finished on top of the table in their respective groups. UOW from Group A, UQ from Group B. So coming into the first place seed, going at it head to head, we'll see if UOW being able to do their homework, maybe see where they can adjust and how UQ can head into that grand finals rematch as well.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for that broadcast, everyone. But for tonight, that's all we have for you in the AEL Uni League cast. See you later, everyone.